tonight,
Milo, is that you?
There, I think I got it.
Welcome to the AML Model Railroad News Podcast for January 2019. I'm your host, Tony Cook, editor of Model Railroad News Magazine and regular contributor on a Modeler's Life podcast. It may be hard to imagine a time when the 40-foot boxcar served as the standard for hauling most every commodity railroads transported. For several decades, this was the situation for North American railroading. From finished automobiles to raw bulk materials such as grain, the sliding door boxcar was not exactly the choice of railroads and shippers. It was about the only way to move items. Before the 1950s and the arrival of the first major push for specialized freight cars, options were limited to basic types such as open hopper cars, flat cars, tank cars, gondolas, and of course boxcars. One of the freight car builders that helped move the industry forward was Pullman Standard. The company's PS series introduced several standard freight car designs that became popular in the post-World War II era and saw evolution and innovation with new cars added to the line. Starting with the then industry standard boxcar, this collection of Pullman Standard offerings launched with 1947's PS1 sliding door boxcar. Next in the series was the PS2 hopper. Initial PS2 hoppers included traditional open cars and covered hopper prototypes. The first cars of the 1950s were two-bay examples with total weights of less than 100 tons. By the 1960s, the industry began moving to a new 100-ton standard, and Pullman Standard followed with examples across its PS series catalog. The early railroad approach to hauling grain required building up panels across the sliding door opening on a boxcar and filling the car's interior. At the grain shipment's destination, the boards came down and the grain poured out. What the covered hopper design provided was a better environment for the bulk commodity to reside in during transportation, and perhaps equally and more importantly, the loading and unloading was easier, faster, and saw less damage and loss to cargo. The mid-1960s saw the introduction of a revised Pullman Standard PS2 4427 covered hopper. The 4427 number represents the cubic foot capacity of the car's interior. This 1966 high-side PS2 4427 showed more of the sloping three bays along the car's underframe versus the earlier 100-ton low-side PS2 4427. The 4427 included 13 exterior posts along its sides. The car's roof hatches and bottom bay outlet gates included a number of options catered to the needs of car buyers. Between 1966 and 1971, Pullman Standard built 12,000 examples of its 4427 covered hopper. You'll still find veteran 4427 covered hoppers working today on North American railroads. Original buyers included railroads as well as many ex-car or leaser examples in service to specific companies. The hobby saw all new PS2 4427 models delivered and or announced recently. The newly delivered model is a high-end replica in HO scale from Tangent Scale Models. During its first decade in business, the North Carolina-based hobby manufacturer has introduced several fine-quality Pullman Standard covered hopper offerings that include the 4000, 4740, 4750, and now the high-side 4427. Tangent's HO Scale 4427 features the company's usual exacting approach with unique attributes provided to road names to present accurate reproductions. The first production's offerings include representations from the 4427's early days in the second half of the 1960s to a mid-1980s second owner repaint. Railroads represented in Tangent's 4427 covered hopper production include the Milwaukee Road, Missouri Pacific with Chicago and Eastern Illinois reporting marks, Rock Island, and Toledo, Peoria, and Western. The late 1960s TP&W example serves as the basis for Tangent's other railroad road name, a mid-1980s Santa Fe re-stenciled version of the TP&W hopper, showing the car's appearance after that Midwest Railroad was absorbed by the Santa Fe in 1985. 2 leaser or X cars, an X car being a freight car owned by a firm and leased out to another and including an X at the end of its reporting marks, are included in this offering. A blue Lewis Dreyfus car with 1966 build date and a blue, white, and black PV car with 1967 date was produced. The leaser cars include separate placards on the car sides for their logos. For current availability on Tangent Scale Models Pullman Standard High-Side PS 24427, visit the company's website, tangentscalemodels.com. As Tangent Scale Models was unboxing its new HO covered hoppers at TrainFest 2018, Athearn was announcing this same mid-1960s Pullman Standard prototype as a coming-in scale model. Athearn displayed early pre-production samples for its in-scale PS 24427 at TrainFest 2018. The all-new freight car will also follow the 1966 high-side 3-bay prototype. The fully assembled model will be offered in single-car and 3-pack releases. Athearn's road name selection will provide a pair of late 1960s leaser hoppers with TLDX reporting marks. One leaser car will come decorated for Harmon Grain, and the other for Pillsbury. The other early prototype in the group will be a mineral red Santa Fe hopper with 1966 build date. The next oldest prototypes coming will be a 1979 Chicago and Northwestern release in dark green, then from the late 1980s Burlington Northern, Union Pacific, and Wisconsin Central. The newest prototype from Athearn for this initial in-scale 4427 run will be a 1990s Montana Rail Link release. For more information, check Athearn online at athearn.com. Past 4427 hoppers include 2 HO models in Walther's line, one a mainline release reproducing the early high-side version, and a Proto-Series car reproducing the low-side version. Exact Rail has produced low-side versions of the 4427 in both HO and N in the past. Keep up with all the announcements and read in-depth reviews of new releases each month in the pages of Model Railroad News. You can find out more about the magazine by visiting shop.whiteriverproductions.com. Thanks for listening to the AML Model Railroad News podcast, and be sure to listen to fun hobby history stories on the X2F files, also available for download right here on the award-winning AML network. I'm Tony Cook. Thanks for listening, and please join me again next time.
It's another Lincoln Homer.